And we've got our special guest.
It
Doc,
is a beautiful
welcome.
campus.
Yeah, it is a beautiful campus. Doc from Sawtooth Witch, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah.
You do so many things, but we're going to start with what? Tell us about the new band.
Yeah, why don't we just start with Sawtooth Witch, because
we can go
we
anywhere
even have
for
time
that.
to talk about anything else. I'm excited about this. So we have been working on this record for quite a while, and it just kind of seemed like the right timing to do it, because I feel like a lot of my old things were just kind of me trying to explore stuff, and this seems like it has, like, we figured out a coherent voice to it. So we thought it would be best to give it a name. So it's, if you're familiar with any of my work, it's Haley Fleming from my old band Fairfax, Alaska. And then if you watched some of my old projects, it's kind of like a lot of them put together. There's like elements of all of them, but Holly Hansen engineered and recorded this record, and then Nat Harvey mixed the record, and then it was mastered by Huntley Miller, who also did the LPF stuff. So I got a good team behind it, and I'm really excited. It's just kind of weird being in so many different things, kind of arriving at this place where it's just like, well, you know what it is. We're like, oh yeah, this is technically a brand new thing.
It is.
A completely new thing. So, I am really excited to talk about it. I feel like I'm just rambling because the coffee's kicking in.
That's all right. But I think, it's bits and pieces of this, but it's the culmination.
Yeah, I mean, you could say that. Yeah, I think it definitely stems from, I think, learning from a lot of like mistakes, but I think it's also just kind of chipping away of like, well, what kind of music do I want to make? And we kind of finally arrived at like, we should use the art to explore the darker sides of things, but like I feel like the message should also be like we should use it to like celebrate getting through that, where I think a lot of older projects were just like kind of akin to like that older stand-up comedian just going like, I'm gonna make you sad and you're gonna like it, and we're like, this is kind of like, hey, yeah, we're sad, but that's okay, I'm sad too, you're sad, let's still dance it out a little bit, and kind of go in like the Talking Heads direction of like, yeah, we're weird, but we can still kind of put a groove behind this and make it fun. So we're kind of leaning into that, and I don't know, I don't really know how to describe it, because it's like I feel like all the labels out there don't really like fit, like it's
right.
Like folktronica is a thing, which is like technically what we are, but like it doesn't feel right.
Really.
No. So we've been calling it acoustic dance music just because it like combines all the roots elements of things, but like I'm also blatantly just ripping off house music, and like I listen to that stuff and I try to figure out how to play those beats with my feet. Like I am blatantly stealing that and like putting it over the music I grew up with.
You're paying homage.
Yes, which is French for blatant rip-off.
Yes. Exactly. But I mean, and I've seen you play many times in the last 2 weeks. I enjoy it. But there's, even when the music is new to me, there is a familiarity because you are paying homage. From and I like that. I mean, I think you can, a teaching pedagogy is to go from the known to the unknown.
Yeah, and that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
I think in order for art to make a statement, it needs to be part of a conversation first. And I think that's something we all struggle with as artists, where it's just like, one, how do we contribute to that conversation without kind of being the interrupter at a party of just like, I'm really great too. But like also like, how do we contribute to the conversation without like being vapid and taking up too much space in the room? It's hard because like I want to stay authentic to who I want to be as an artist, but there's also things you kind of have to, like you said, like there is some tradition you need to learn, like if we're gonna rip off these genres,
right.
I gotta have to like
pay homage.
Yes,
yes.
If I'm going to pay homage, merci beaucoup. I have to, pay the price of admission a little bit and kind of like practice some of these things. But it comes from like genuine appreciation. Like I only like this stuff because I listen to it. But you said something earlier, like I really am trying to do like the morphine thing of like, I want to be a band that you've never seen anyone do something like that, but it does kind of sound sort of familiar and yet not like anything else. And so I think we nailed it, but like I also like when you talk like that, it's like, yeah, I'm the greatest. Like we kind of nailed it. Like it's like hard not to sound pretentious when you do that.
Well, no, really just proud. There's nothing wrong with being proud of it. I mean, I think, but I think that going from the known to the unknown is, when I listen to it, my brain perks up right away when I'm like, oh, I know that note or that, like I know that, and then it goes into something different. You're like, ooh, I'm gonna want to listen to this one again.
Good, yeah, that's kind of what we're hoping for. Is like to kind of be, I don't know if you ever saw my punk band Jill, but I used to have like a little backwards circle K on the graffiti on that instrument.
No, that sounds familiar.
No one could, like, everyone thought it was just like, oh, KFAI, like the station you're at. It's just like, it's actually like a really nerdy reference to in baseball when the pitcher strikes someone out and they don't swing because they're so confused by the pitch. It's like when it's the indicator for someone who got struck out looking.
So
it's like
I can
I've
go
always
deep on
been,
some base. I can go
you lost
deeper.
me as soon as you said
literal inside baseball.
We used to go all the time when I was a kid, and I used to work this. But you beat me on that one. I was like,
it's because I've always just kind of
the backward cat,
That's my favorite.
Now I'm like,
my favorite compliment is like when a really good musician comes up to me after the show and be like, "How did you do that?" I'm like, "Yes." It's exactly what I'm going for. It's like exploring stuff that really hasn't been tried or done. And I think throughout a lot of my career, there's been like some admitted strikeouts, but like I'm swinging for the fences when I'm going for that. So it's like I'm not embarrassed by that, but I think this was like we kind of gambled and it paid off. Like there's a lot of like contrasting things that managed to gel together, and let's give credit where it's due. Like Holly Hansen and Nat Harvey are amazing at what they do, because they're also songwriters and arrangers themselves, but they also have this rich background and like actual artistic chops behind their craft. Speaking of chops, chop the microphone down. Okay. And they just like, I don't know. I never know how to explain what I'm looking for in that realm, but like they have a knack for like having my ADHD translator. I'm just like, oh, I think you're going for this. I'm like, yes. How did you know that? And they're like, oh, right. You're like really good at this.
Well, and that is something you get from that. A number of things you get from being in so many different things. You know who's good at it. You know how to communicate with people. You know how, and you have a depth of things that like failure's not really a thing. You know what I mean? You learn, as long as you learn something from it.
It's not, and I think like I have learned that from trying to pick up hobbies outside of like art. Of just like, oh, like as long as you learn what you don't want to do next time, you're not really failing at anything. Like you're just constantly getting better. Like as long as you're not afraid of like sometimes literally falling on your face, right? You will make progress, and you will discover something about yourself, which is like, I think, I don't know. This year has kind of like humbled a lot of our perspectives, and mine particularly, where I'm just like trying to figure out what's going on. But like I think like something David Lynch said like in the start of like COVID-19, where it's just like, I think we should all just stay indoors and learn how to make a lamp. And it's just like everyone's just like, what were you talking about? And it's just like that quote like echoes in my brain more and more, because I think he's right. Like I think everyone should just take a breather, learn how to do something for themselves, and like not for the sake of like starting a side hustle, like literally just learn how to like grow again is like really important. This is a different podcast, I feel like.
It might be. I wish that I was thinking it's on some billboard somewhere. If first you don't succeed, don't try sky jumping. But short of that, I feel like you should be. Doc, I'm going to switch mics with you because that one. Because you are the guest.
We can
we see.
Where's the paintbrush?
Yeah, we've got it. We can MacGyver.
See, that's what the paintbrush is for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was an indictment about the paintbrush earlier, but now
I know. Now it's our
coming
best
around
friend.
to the paintbrush.
It's our best friend
We're
forever.
coming around.
We'll see if that works.
You know what would have been even smoother? Should we play some of your music?
Yeah.
No,
do you have?
Yes,
Did I send you the clean version?
Well, you come and look at. You sent me something. I think because I had to find the old email to make sure.
Yeah.
This is the computer I don't use otherwise.
Okay.
On June 9th. Has it been changed since June 9th?
No, I think it should be up there. It's just click the one that says radio edit if you're going to play the song I think you're going to play.
You keep on talking and I will find it.
Okay.
Yeah. Otherwise, anything is clever.
Didn't give an option in this email.
But by song, would it say it on the song? This is such good radio right here.
Riveting radio.
What font is it in? Yeah.
It should say like the Hustle and then the Hustle radio edit. If not, otherwise, I can probably just send you a link. Otherwise, play the song you were originally gonna.
I had just pulled up what you had sent me, which I should say is, I think the whole.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but we can. Also, if there's anything on Spotify, we can just play that.
Nope. We can't. Well, let's try it.
Is there a song that is probably going to make it on radio that you don't mind us playing?
Any of them, if you don't want to play, let's in the off mic time track down a radio edit. But like any other song that you enjoy, is totally fine. That's the only one with the Hustle's the only one with swears. So the rest of them are all fair game. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
All right. The Punchline by Sawtooth Witch. We have in studio.
Here, let me try to find.
Yeah, I like this one. I mean, I like them all, but they're like.
Yeah, this song and it was so funny, like, because like Holly's originally from Texas, so she has kind of that accent, but every once in a while she'll have like the Midwest slip in. And it was this song in the dream when we were tracking. She like turned over and she's just like, "You're a little bit emo." Like, aren't you? I'm just like, yeah. I never went full bore in high school, but
funny.
All my friends were. Here, let me find.
So it looks like the only link we have is the samply one.
Is it like the whole album sample?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, let me try to find. Let me see here. Where do you want me to send it?
Do you have my email there?
Yeah.
Because it will then eventually.
And Tracy.
Yeah, because I think you sent this through email, so. And it will. I always get a copy here. Yeah.
Sounds like that choir something next week.
Awesome.
Okay, so I have a Google Drive.
That works.
Okay.
10 and 10 seconds.
Okay.
You can do the call letters.
That was Punchline by Sawtooth Witch. On Mostly Minnesota Music on WMCN 91.7 FM on the beautiful McAllister College campus in St. Paul. And we have Sawtooth Witch. Doc from Sawtooth with
Yeah, I mean,
in studio.
This is kind of exciting, just because like I feel like that's a accidental like premiere. That's not out yet.
I know you know how
heard
it
it
works.
first,
So yeah.
kids.
Okay, it's not out yet, but what's going on? What's the timeline? And you have a whole album, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I feel like, talk about inside baseball, you know, like I feel like I don't know how much to reveal, because there's like, I guess, aura farming, as the kids would say. But like I already said this on previous shows that like I'm doing the waterfall thing, so like yes, there is more to come, and then there is a record which I'm really excited about because it's going to be on vinyl, and awesome. I should say it is going to be on vinyl just because we were awarded a state arts grant, and I want to give credit where credit's due. We couldn't do this without getting that, and I'm really exciting because I feel like I'm really excited because I feel like we didn't pull any punches with the vision. Like we kind of like wrote the grant like very specifically, like this is what it's about, this is what it's going to be for, and this is why we want to do it, and we still got the grant. So it's really exciting, and I feel like the accompanying thing with it was a thing I like to call the Minnesota tour, where I just tried to go to as many of the places that I feel like supported me throughout the years, just because I've been doing this DIY for a long time, and there's been a lot of places in greater Minnesota, but also just like throughout the Midwest that keep asking me back. So like part of the reason I think we got the grant was saying like, we're going to be doing shows and like, not just the Twin Cities. And
you can give a shout out to some of your favorite places. They're top of mind if you'd like.
Yeah. Well,
so I think that's valuable for everyone.
Yeah. For me, I really like the Driftless area. Like Winona has always been huge in supporting me. But also Duluth has always been really supportive of like anything I've done. And I think like a few places were kind of like, oh yeah, like when I announced this, they're like, oh yeah, we'll check it out. And then like there were some places where it's just like, you got a new band? What are you doing next month? You know, so like shout out to like Duluth and Rochester and Winona for bringing me back. But part of the Minnesota tour was like, I am going to try to go to new places, and we went to a few festivals that I haven't performed on before. One called Hotel Minnesota, which is really interesting. It's like they just rent out this hotel, and it's kind of like a cruise ship in the middle of winter, where like there's like 4 stages, and the pre-sale is just people renting rooms, and like the festival goers just take over this hotel, and it's like surprisingly really well managed. Like the inmates literally take over the asylum, and it ended up being like one of the best crowds because like everyone is either in like full rave regalia or they're in like Garfield pajamas with the slippers, and it's like they're like ready to go, you know, like, and they set up like a nice little stage in the cocktail lounge, so like where the hotel bar is, where it's just like, so you get like that vibe, and then you have this huge so that was really fun. But we also got to take this to
where is that one?
Plymouth, Minnesota.
Okay.
And then we did something at the airport, which was really cool, and then we got to do some stuff up north, and then this place called Sampaguita in Aitkin, which any opportunity to present art in places that I feel like we're really lucky in the Twin Cities, and I feel like we should be proud of what we have here, but I think the tendency that comes with that pride comes with a bit of neglect to greater Minnesota, and I want to be one of those artists that's like, hey, I've been touring this country on my own, and like there's a lot more cooler small towns than there are big cities.
Absolutely.
And I've been to some big cities that, you know, like I'm just like, okay, this place has got everything money can buy, but nothing it can't, you know, where I've been to a lot of these like small river towns and like cool college towns in the middle of nowhere that like they have everything like these huge cities wish they had in these like cool little communities that like put on these like yearly festivals, and like this is a huge part of that town's identity. Duluth is one of those communities. Like they still have their own like localized press that like does weeklies, and like people are plugged in to that. And so I'm really grateful that you invited me to go on radio, because like radio is kind of becoming like, it's reverting back to like the only press in town. And I've noticed that like a lot of places I play, like a lot of the people who are plugged in, like it's a community radio station or a college radio station carrying that water and going like, here's what's going on. So thank you for what you are doing, and thank you for having me on the show.
Yes, of course.
But yeah, I think part of that grant was also kind of saying like, hey, like when we release this, we are going to play cool places like the Cedar Cultural Center, and we are going to play places that we, you know, like really enjoy playing and like feel cool, and you get to feel cool telling your friends that you're playing.
Right.
But a huge portion of this was like, we are deliberately going to go to river towns and bars. We are deliberately going to make these as like accessible as possible. A lot of these shows were free on purpose. And if they weren't free, it's because they were in bars, and, you know, liquor licenses are a thing.
Yep.
You know, but in those cases, we always found local openers. We always...
Well, and thank you for doing that. I think that is a lift up.
Well, I feel like it's interesting. Like, I have always been doing that my entire career, but, like, this grant was, like, the only reason I had to, like, publicly write it down.
Yeah.
But, like, that's how I've been operating and touring since, like, day one, you know.
And it's twice blessed. It's twice blessed because you're giving a lift up in a wider audience through social media. You'll get to know them. You can plug them in the Twin Cities, but they likely have a local following.
Yeah,
you know, everybody's bringing something to the table in that kind of situation.
And I noticed the shows have been better because of that. And there is like an expectation set of like, oh, like let's go to this thing. Like my friend is bringing this band into town, or you know, or vice versa.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really fun, and I feel really lucky that we get to do it. But as far as the release timeline, you'll have to be surprised, I guess. I don't know. I don't want to, because one, we just released the first single. It's been out for like 6 days.
I was gonna say a week.
So I'm just like kind of want to focus on just like, hey, go on Spotify and listen to the Hustle before we talk about other ones. But part of the reason I like coming on radio is like we get to do things like play stuff that's not released yet, and you know, it's why we tune in, right?
Exactly. You hit on a little bit something I was going to ask about doing the application for the grant.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems, and I've walked through people doing grants for different projects or even business plans.
Mm-hmm.
It really helps you focus. It seems like everyone should have to write a grant application or something. And
I agree.
Yeah.
I think and Lang, and you probably have dealt with this, like artists have a hard time finding their elevator pitch.
Yes.
And I think doing a grant, if you don't have an elevator pitch, you will at least like develop a mission statement.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times, you know, it's cool to just like make stuff for the sake of vibe. I've done that a lot, but I think it was also helpful to kind of come from a vibey place and like, you know, like a vibe mood board that we're like, I want this and this and this, but like also kind of have to think about like, well, what are we trying to say, and why are we trying to say it, and why are we doing it this way? And you know, for me, part of it was like, yeah, I do have a reverence for these traditions, but I also know like every time I try to learn them, it just kind of sounds like me doing it. So like for me, I was like, well, let's go the other direction. Like, where haven't these traditions gone, but doing that in a way that isn't like ruining it for everybody. I think when I first started, there was definitely
I know what you're saying. That's
when I first started, I think there was like a Bob Dylan Goes Electronica feel where people were like, "Why are you doing this?" Or like people thought I was just playing bluegrass badly. But I think people are now starting to. It's like, no, it's taking this fingerstyle tradition, which there's a rich tradition in Minnesota of like everyone from Spider John Kerner to go to Dave Hull to Charlie Parr, of course, but like also like people forget about Leo Kottke. Like Leo Kottke was a huge influence on me growing up, and I didn't even know he was from Minnesota till I started going to college here, and I was like, oh, I think there might be something to that everything happens for a reason thing. Where it's like, why did I end up in Minnesota? It's like, oh wait, like Mystery Science Theater's here, and like Leo Kottke's here, and like all this like weird stuff that I liked as a kid is just based here, So I have reverence for that, but I'm also like trying to, let's take this to a new place. Let's take this to a place it's never been, and some people are kind of like, you can play, kid, but that ain't bluegrass. But like, there's also some kids we meet who are just like, this is everything. This is like it's dance and bluegrass and it's punk and it's goth and it's like everything I'm into in one little place. And like, thank you for being. It's just like that's why we do it. It's just like I was that kid, so like I need to be the thing I was looking for when I was in high school. So that's kind of what I'm going for.
Well, I think that's how music emerges. I mean, and God love the people who are pure bluegrass. That's awesome. That there's a place for that.
Well, they're only doing it because they love it that much.
Yeah,
like they're just like, oh, this is my thing, and like they want to contribute to the conversation by getting like as refined at it as possible. And I'm much more of like, I genuinely do like everything. So it's just like I'm a mile wide and an inch deep in everything. But because of that, I like to kind of. It's like a Tex-Mex egg roll, I guess. It's not quite all those things. It's a new thing. It's a completely new thing. But try it. You'll like it.
But you have the 10,000 hours. You said you have the respect for the music. You have the 10,000 hours wrapped up into it, and it's...
Yeah. Well, I also... I teach music as well. So I kind of have to learn how to fake everything. Like
I'm very familiar.
I've definitely had students that they will get to a certain point where like even I will be like, hey, like you should find a different teacher.
You have graduated.
Yeah, like this is not my, like I would need to practice this piece myself to teach it to you, so like that does come with its drawbacks, but like I do think being interested in everything it's kind of fun to like be able to throw a little taste of this or that into what you do.
Well, and I think that is a graduation for a student.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so you possibly they've picked a lane.
Yeah.
And they're going to go down that lane and not so...
Yeah, I feel like it's weird because like I definitely, once again, we're getting into a different podcast, but like I definitely, like there are teachers who like want to make their classroom like a factory to create more of them.
Yes.
And I've always been like, well, I want you to practice so you can figure out you.
Yeah.
And I'm more of the latter, and I think there's so it depends on your approach, but like I don't know.
No, I mean it's still if all you got is a hammer, everything's a nail.
Yeah.
I mean and I think
like that, yeah.
and I think especially when somebody is new to music or they want to break out of having someone who is more strident in their position of how to do things, it's nice to have that mile wide. Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, and I'm a student myself. I've been taking lessons again just because it's like I think I'm making progress. I think
Think you might have something here?
Yeah, I think I do. But I mean, you've also seen me play live. Like we do it differently every time, and I think a lot of people don't get that. I try to say like I'm trying to occupy the space between like if Jerry Garcia had a little bit more of an edge to him and if Lou Reed wasn't as much of a jerk. So it's like, yeah, you're going to hear the hits, so to speak. Like, you're gonna hear the repertoire, but like we're gonna do it differently night in, night out, and it's like sometimes we might not do it the way you like, and sometimes I've heard people say like, this is exactly what I needed, because it's and sometimes you strike out doing that, but it's like coming from like a let's read the room and try to make a genuine moment out of what's happening, and and sometimes the moment just calls for like just playing something straight up the middle, but most of the time in the cities I feel like we're playing bars, so like we stretch out a little bit and take a little bit more risks, and sometimes it's a little bit louder and sometimes it's like really quiet and reserved depending on how we feel or how the room feels at the time. So
because we've talked about music, but I mean, it turns out between the two of
I
us,
will
Langan
talk
and
a
I,
lot.
no, but we, and you see music when you're playing it, you see music when you're working.
Yeah.
Give me something extraordinary, or give me a train wreck.
From
the stage, when I'm listening to something, you see a lot of music, and that's why, as you said, like in the cities and in a bar.
Ooh.
I mean,
I have to get more specific, just because I like extraordinary.
Just where you're like, I love that. That's so different. I loved it. That was fantastic. Or, whoo, that was,
Well, I won't be the person.
Oh, come on.
That says like, this person's a train wreck, just because like I do. Tour enough that will get back to that person.
Right. Well, and it might
like, hey, I heard Red Glasses was talking. like, what's your deal? Like, I'm gonna get call-ins on my next radio show.
Right.
Like,
Right. But sometimes it's just a song, or it's just and sometimes people will own it from the stage, like, well, that was
right.
And you're like, yeah, but it's worth trying. It was worth trying, and it was fun to be there for that. All the strings broke on the guitar. Whatever it is, where you're like...
Well, for me, like, I think the best example that I've ever seen was Low.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember working a show where they were opening for Wilco, and I know their lighting director, and I remember, like, it's the first time seeing him, like, kind of show some emotion, and I was like, what's going on? It's like the lighting rig isn't working. So like Low had this whole new album like timed to this lighting thing, and any other band would have folded under the pressure, but like you could just see them up there in total darkness just picking songs from their career that made sense for the moment. And I like just watching, it was like watching an athlete, like, not to go back to baseball, like, but like pitch a perfect game.
Yeah.
Of just like knowing how hard it is, what they're doing, and like the situation is constantly presenting new situations where you can like misread it and stumble, and like they just kept having an emotional impact. And it's just like, oh, this is not only like, do you have to get so good at writing songs, you have to get so good at like being a touring band.
Yeah.
That everything you've worked for over the years just goes away in an instant. And it's like, it's the perfect metaphor for Low, like, it's like, because that has happened to them so many times.
Right.
And it's just like, if anyone was prepared for that moment to just be like, well, we're just going to do this. And like the next night, everything went off without a hitch, because they were doing 2 nights with Wilco, and then I saw that set, and it was great, but like I liked the train wreck better because they recovered it like so. I don't think there's like maybe 5 bands on the planet who could pull that off, like without having a meltdown, or like doing that thing where it's like, haha, sorry folks, like they're just like, they just went up there and be like, this was intentional, and if it wasn't, we're gonna make it seem like it's intentional. And it's just like, wow, that's like, that to me, that's the best example of like a triumph and a train wreck.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, and I just think it because how special to be there on the one night. They're not going to do that again.
Right. And I was working the barricade too, so like I was kind of just like, they're doing this right next to my head.
Right.
So it's like, and then you're just kind of like watching, and like being a musician myself, I can kind of tell when a band is like going like, all right, what should we do next? And it's like kind of like watch them work that out, and just doing it so calm and just like, let's try this, let's do this, let's do that. And like, yeah, that was just like I feel like if you could watch dreams or watch like your memories, it's like that's one I would probably like watch a lot, because like I think we all like to, you know, go home and do things that are legal in the state of Minnesota and watch, you know, old concerts and just kind of relax. It's like that would be one of them I would watch if it was on YouTube for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that is what live music is for, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're making memories.
Yeah.
Like, I think, and that's kind of what I try to focus on. It's just like, well, this is going to be a memory. You know, for some people, it's going to be like, oh, that was amazing. And for some people, it's not going to be for everybody. But, like, I want you to make up your mind. I don't want it to be like, oh, that's okay. You know?
That's
like,
it. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. You know,
I actually like when people are like, oh, that's different. I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome. Do we have a song?
Yeah, do we even have time? I will talk until this show is over.
We're looking at it. It's 20 minutes.
I would love to play the single that you have out, but all I can find is the not radio friendly.
Oh,
can you email over?
Yeah, I emailed.
While Anne says something profound.
Yes.
All right. What I'm going to say is yes. Yes.
Sorry.
We did talk about the theme for next week. Not to totally shift directions.
Well.
What did? Because I sent it to Anne's email.
Okay, let me
just refresh that.
There it is.
Okay, that was enough.
Still give me 2 seconds.
Yeah.
And then it's like a huge folder of like.
Yep.
There's probably the cover art. There's probably
the Hustle Radio edit.
Okay. Yeah, and then there's an MP3 or WAV, because believe it or not, some stations still use MP3s, and that's the funny thing about certain streaming services that market themselves as higher fidelity. The dirty little secret is like you're still gonna get 320, which is still really, really good, but it's still high-end MP3 quality. So it's like just buy it from the artists themselves. Go to Subvert or go to their Bandcamp. By the way, Subvert is a new thing that's coming soon. That's I became a member of it, but yeah, they're trying to, in the light of Spotify and Bandcamp, kind of being all union busty. There's an artist-centered Bandcamp replacement that is being launched this. So if you want to support artists directly, yeah, Bandcamp is still probably the best place to go. But if you're an audiophile and an audio nerd, streaming services will not technically give you lossless quality. So just buy the stuff from bands. Yeah, just buy it directly. Just buy it directly. Yeah.
All right.
I got it all pulled up. So do you want to tell us anything about this single? Why you chose this as the one to release first?
Well, we had a whole plan to be happy and positive and like do this whole thing where it's kind of like a Don Bluth film where we would get progressively darker and then like the whole album would come out, but broadly gesturing at everything. Things moved a little bit faster than we thought, so it just seemed right to just kind of pick the most political song out of the gate. But yeah, like kind of we were talking about earlier, this just kind of seems like a song when you're really mad at the government, but you still want to dance.
Perfect. We need that.
Yes.
Here we go.
Give me your time.
Yeah.
Perfect. Sorry, I didn't need to
No, you're
you
fine.
sent it to her. I was like,
you're
on
fine.
the same train.
You're fine. I'm surprised I didn't send the radio edit. That's kind of silly.
You're new to radio. We get it. It's fine.
Well, because you sent it to me long before we talked about having you on.
Oh, okay.
So that's why. And then I didn't think about it.
Sure, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I think I sent.
Well,
No.
and the funny thing, this is not the computer I use day to day, so
Oh, sure.
I don't really get my email on there. But I send.
No, I'm just please
copy
be
my
the radio.
It wouldn't be the first time we made it.
I mean, that's fine if I've done it. Like I've had like clean versions sent to me, and it's just like you you bleeped out everything, but you like left a shit in there. You know, like it's like what, like.
Yeah, on the I mean, after certain hours, I think they really don't care, except the big granddaddies of swears. But even during the day, they don't care about a lot of them.
No, I don't like. It really only happens if people like complain about it, and I think
that's
like,
it.
Our listeners just think it's funny, but like now I'm kind of worried because like there's a bunch of like lone wolf MAGA people that like. If they have an axe to grind, they will create bots and be like, this station continuously, you know, and like with today's laws that they snuck in, like anything LGBT is grounds for obscenity now. You know, so it's just like you could torpedo a station's entire funding just by being a conservative asshole. So like I've been trying to be extra cautious about it just because it's like I don't want to be a reason the party dies.
Right.
Because,
that's exactly.
You know, I was blabbing about it earlier, but like a lot of places, like KXCE is like a huge media arm for like a bunch of towns that a lot of people don't think about, and it's like.
I know a lot of them.
If goes away, it's gonna suck. You know,
KXCE is awesome.
It is.
So many good DJs.
It's a station up north.
Grand Rapids. They've got a studio in Grand Rapids, but they have a couple different. Maybe they're for satellite.
Oh, it's a quick one.
The Hustle.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have Doc in studio.
Yeah. Thanks for playing that. I'm excited about it.
It does, and I have to admit that I have heard the album, and I loved it.
Thank you.
Loved it. So I'm excited for people to hear more and more and more of it.
Yeah, no, I am too. We're taking a break on shows just because we just did 30 of them.
I was you have played. I've seen you, but you have played a lot. A lot.
And, well, that's kind of like how we would typically kind of go. You know, like we would just play probably once a week at the very least for the past few years. It's just. There comes a certain point where, like, if you just play your own town, after a while, like, it's kind of you're doing a disservice to yourself, but also the venues you're working with. So it's like we kind of stopped playing locally, but also it there's so much going on locally that like you can find 6 great shows to see on a nightly basis. That it's much easier to kind of set up something where it's just like. People can mark it on their calendar and be like, oh, we're going to that.
Definitely doing that.
And you know, but a lot of places I play, like they're outdoor, you know, like I try to do a seasonal thing. Like with Winona, like I usually play one of the festivals that's down there, but there's also like No Name, which is a 21 plus venue, but then there's Peter's Beer Garden, which is outdoors, and like the family comes, and like usually kids are like running around in the mosh pit, and it's just like, so I like having the opportunity to like, there's the drinking show, and then there's the, you know, let's run around in a field show. I kind of like having it accessible to everybody.
Well, and that's the beauty of reading the room when you're playing.
Yeah.
Because the album is tight, man. Those songs are.
Yeah,
which is awesome for an album.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Because like we definitely were trying to. I think Holly's mantra was, "Can we cut the intro?" And she was always just like, "No, believe me. Like, I struggle with this in Zoo Animal. Like, I love my artistic intros." But I also love this song. And because I love this song, I'm asking you, do you need the intro? And there was a lot of that like I felt, I think helped, you know, make the song better. Because it's like, like I think that's kind of where that Grateful Dead Velvet Underground thing, like the Grateful Dead kind of even admittedly said like, oh yeah, I don't, you know, like their studio work is not their favorite, you know, like they feel like, I think Mickey Hart was like, we never could unleash the dragon in the studio, where I feel like I kind of wanted to be like, I wanted the live show to be very fluid and expansive, but like I want to make sure the record is a statement, You know, like I don't want any 10-minute songs on the record. I don't want any.
No.
You know, like.
Well, and I was
cut the fluff a little bit.
Sorry, well, because I think a statement is a good way, because the show is a conversation.
Yeah.
The album is a statement.
It's a.
I mean, it's very. Those are very different ways of communicating.
Mm-hmm.
And
And yeah, I'm really psyched about it. And the first track is out now, so go to the. I don't know. I guess Spotify is just a search engine for music. If that's the one you use, go there. But it's officially out, so you can buy it, not just stream it, on Bandcamp as well.
Awesome. I am looking at the time now,
Yes.
so we're probably. So you're not playing. This is the grand finale right here.
Well, we do. Okay, so we do have the Minnesota tour encore.
I was just gonna say yes. Tell us it.
There might be some house shows in July, but like honestly, I think I was deliberately kind of taking a month off, just because it was, you know, an intentional like run. But the more people kind of saw us doing stuff, they're like, hey, would you think about, so we are gonna do in August kind of like a little bit of a encore run. We're gonna go back to the places that really went well, so we're gonna go back up to Duluth, although one of those shows is technically in Wisconsin, so it's not really the Minnesota tour
we'll edit
anymore.
That out.
But yeah, so in September we're gonna go back up to Duluth, and then
What a
August.
gorgeous time to be up there.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. And then August we're gonna go back to Rochester. So I'm gonna be at Thesis Brewing with my friend Mike Munson, August 2nd.
Who you just played with earlier this week.
Yeah. Mike is genuinely one of the best like guitarists I've ever seen, and like what I really appreciate about Mike is like I feel like Haley and I don't know repertoire. Like we just have ears that we can like pick up and be like, yeah, you know, like it's like I feel like guys like Mike Munson and Charlie, like they know all the songs, and not like Mike Munson is cool to watch because like he'll have like these songs from like 1932, and then he'll like immediately cover Sparkle Horse, and then he'll like do like stuff off his like new album, and it's like, so I really like playing with Mike. It's like he's an encyclopedia of like several genres, and he's just a good guy too, so that show's gonna be fun. And then we're gonna do the release show for Ben Cook Phelps' new album, who's covering a Harry Nilsson record.
Oh wow!
So we're gonna do that at the Parkway Theater August 10th. And then Common Roots Fest up in St. Cloud. That's one we've played about like, I think this is gonna be like our 5th year playing that festival. So that's also in August. And then
So much for taking a break.
Yeah,
that's
no, it's kind of. Oh wait, Music in Kellogg Park. That's the next local show in Minneapolis. Yeah, August 28th. We'll be doing that, and then the rest, I think we're gonna have to. I think I'm back at Forager, and then another Winona show, and then but
we have to take a break, my friend.
Well, but
that's a break.
I'll take a month off. And
That's
I'll
good.
Be back, but it's like a gig a week. But the next local show is going to be August 28th in Kellogg Park. That's a free event, and it's not for Music in the Parks. It's like a new series.
Okay, great.
But it is music in a park, and if that helps you, there you go.
That's good. I'm going to say thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
This was super fun. This is
talk, and I will turn it into my show every single time. So
that's what we love. That's what we love. So love
Absolutely.
hearing about, and I love the new album.
Thanks. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. So we play one more song.
We only have a 10-minute song.
That's okay. We're gonna play some of it.
Okay, let's play.
Marijuana Death Squads. People won't know.
Yeah.
that.
Let's play
they're
some
great.
of Last Sunny Day.
All right. Here we go.
There we go.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I hope I didn't like ramble too much.
No, that was
great. Okay,
That was great.